Welcome back, my digital mutants. It is I, once again, Delmico L. Cunningham, better known as Dr. Media, with your daily prescription fix for all things media. So, today, we're going to take us a little bit of a step back because I'm going to answer one of the comments that I received on the OwnCloud setup videos that I recently did for the channel. So, I did a set of videos on how to set up your own cloud. So basically you're setting up your own cloud server and you're doing that through FreeNAS. You could do it any other way. You really could do it. It's just that FreeNAS is this kind of this beautiful gooey box of awesomeness, and it's always just sitting there. So looking for more things to do with all of that raw power just sitting there is always one of my biggest kind of free time things. So Crazy Beaner 81 left the comment of, great video, can you show your steps to create a CIF share to the OwnCloud media folder? Thanks. Well, Crazy Beaner 81, I just want to say, and I'm doing this video in response to this comment because of two things. One, when you are setting up OwnCloud and you're working with it remotely, you know, you're going to use whatever your public facing IP address to your router is going to be, or to your modem that connects to the internet. That's going to be the IP address that you basically log into and get back into your OwnCloud from anywhere else in the entire world. Now, as we talked about in the previous videos, if you have a internet service provider, then your IP address is a DHCP enabled address where it's a rolling address and you never know when it might change. For me, I actually, as we've talked about before, I actually pay for a static IP address from my provider. I actually love Comcast Business. A lot of people don't hear that very often, but I think Comcast Business does a fantastic job of managing their business services for users. So I have a static IP address, and my IP address does not change. So that's something I don't have to worry about. I can always get back to my OwnCloud server. If you have a static IP address, you're going to want to use some type of dynamic DNS service to be able to get access back to your OwnCloud server. Now, getting access to your files. This is something that is very interesting because what I do to get access back to my OwnCloud is I actually use the OwnCloud application for Windows. So this right here is the OwnCloud application for Windows, and basically what I've done is I've just connected it over 10.1.10.3 and connected it locally. Because if I were to go to this locally, so if we came in here and we went to this locally, so we say 10.1.10.10.3. If I hit that, you'll see that locally on my network, it brings me to my OwnCloud installation on my FreeNAS box. So what I have done is I have basically downloaded the OwnCloud application and I'm just connecting to it. And actually, if I look in my folders, if we look in here, you'll see that I actually have an OwnCloud folder. So I actually have an OwnCloud folder that sits right here, and this OwnCloud folder are all of the folders that are being synced back with my OwnCloud installation. Now, why do I do it this way? Well, for one big reason. The biggest reason being that is if I come in here and actually manually add files to the share folder or to the folder where OwnCloud is set up, those files will not get added to the database. So those files will not be seen by the database because they were not added properly to the database. Now, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it can actually break your database. So I'll show you how to get to where those files live at on the OwnCloud server. So I'm going to go back in here, and I'm using BitVice, and I'm using the SFTP client that comes with it. So I'm going to back out of root, go in here to mount, go to the pool that has the jails on it. So there's my jails folder, and you'll see there's my OwnCloud 1, And inside of here, where I want to go to is media. If I look inside of media, I can see the people that are already set up to use this. So I'm set up to use it, my mother's set up to use it, and I can even see the OwnCloud.db. So this is the OwnCloud database file that's sitting right here, and everything is in there. So if I go in here and I go to my name and then go to my files, you'll see there's all my files, and they're just sitting right there, which is kind of awesome. But if I do this, and let's just check this out and see what happens. Let's try it with a very small file, and I'll show you what's going to happen. So I could make a share. I could make a share that sits on my server or sits on the computer, and I have that file shared. So let's actually log in and see if OwnCloud updated itself and added that SCAR file to everything else. So you'll see that inside of my OwnCloud server, if I go in here and look in here, and I'll just hit refresh on this, but in my OwnCloud server, currently right now, that SCAR file did not get added. And you can see, look, here is my 100 architectural plans, 2D art, 3D art, bears, and then all these files in here, and then photo, and then right between photo and video, there should be a SCAR file sitting right there, but there's not. So what happened? Well, because I did not add these files in the proper way, the database, so the MySQL database, because don't forget that OwnCloud uses a MySQL or a MariaDB database, whatever database you use, it uses that database to basically make semblance links to where the files are at, and then give those back through the kind of web interface to be able to get to files. So making a share, and you could do that. I could even show you how you could do that inside of FreeNAS. If I came in here to sharing and went to my window CIFS shares, I could come in here and say add a brand new window share, go to browse my path, go in here to my mount, and let's go to the pool that contains my jails. There's my jails, and I'll even go to my OwnCloud server, and I'll look in here for media, and there it is. There's my Daemon Phoenix, and then there's my files. If I look in here, well, these are where all my files sit at. So I could actually make a share file or a share folder that would be shared like that on my network, and it would share. That's fine. I would be able to see the files that are on there, but I could not add additional files to my OwnCloud server this way, because this would actually I don't think it would break your database, but I would not try it, because I think after a while it could break the database, because those files are sitting in that folder, and the database is not actually accessing them. So doing a window share is not the best way to locally get things onto your OwnCloud or to use things from your OwnCloud. One of the better ways is actually going to OwnCloud and downloading their software. So I can go in here and go to OwnCloud, go to their website, it's OwnCloud.org, and going in here and actually downloading. So I go in here and download the actual desktop client. So I would come in here and download the desktop client for OwnCloud if you plan on using it locally. Because what that does is when you install the OwnCloud software locally, it'll ask you what folders do you want to sync from your OwnCloud server to your local computer's hard drive. Now I know that seems really kind of silly and stupid to be syncing files on your own computer, but it's really not. Because if you think about the way that technologies such as OneDrive and Google Drive and even Dropbox work, those files do not exist only in the web. If you're using one of those cloud-based services, your files still exist on a local hard drive. What the syncing software does is it takes your actual files and it basically makes a copy of them, and it copies them to your cloud-based service like OneDrive, Dropbox, or even Google Drive. So if you have one of those services and you install it, when you first install that service rather, you're going to pick which folders you want to sync. If you sync all of the folders, then it's going to basically download all that data to you, and it's going to be on your local hard drive. That's actually a really good thing, because what if something happens to your OwnCloud server? What if something happens to your OwnCloud installation? Well, if something were to happen to your OwnCloud installation, then you would lose all your files. By doing it this way, your files are still kept locally, and then copies of them are kept in the cloud, and then you can still access those files from anywhere else you want to. Now, I like doing it this way. This is, well, it's not even like liking doing it this way. This is the best way to do it if you want to be able to do this. Now, alternatively, you could set up your FreeNAS box and set up a WebDAV share, and I have that set up as well. I have 2 WebDAV shares set up for movies and shows, which I actually serve out to a remote location. So you could do a WebDAV. A WebDAV would be easier because a WebDAV is basically just a more, I won't say more, but it's kind of like using FTP services, and it's kind of like having FTP and CIFS kind of combined together, and being able to have this share that you can get to remotely, but you can also get to locally. And you can actually access it the same way you do the OwnCloud stuff, by using your internet-facing IP address and knowing what port that you actually have WebDAV running on. And I'm not gonna show you my WebDAV port because I just don't want to show you. So you could use WebDAV, and that would be a way that you could use a local share and then have a place to be able to get to that stuff outside of your network by doing WebDAV. The thing I like about using OwnCloud, though, as opposed to doing WebDAV, is that this gives me a database. And the other thing that this gives me, if I go back to the OwnCloud website, you'll see that I can actually extend my cloud. And there are OwnCloud apps, and then there are third-party apps. This is the thing that I believe gives me the second level of power, which is really cool. So I have things like I can add registration. I can add a manual registration. So when I have clients, I can actually set my clients up, give them access to my OwnCloud, let them register themselves, and I still get the ability to be able to, either grant or deny them access to the cloud, but they have their own server, which is really cool. I've got things like mail, so I can do mail from this. I can be running my own mail server, not like, Secretary of State Ms. Clinton. That's wrong. That's really important stuff, and you should not have that. Wow, yeah, you shouldn't have that stuff. That's crazy. So, I can run my own I can run my own mail server. So there's a lot of plugins that let you do some things with OwnCloud that you can't just normally do with doing a WebDAV or something like that. Now, the other thing is that if you notice inside of the OwnCloud interface, if I go down here to settings, you'll see that it actually does give me a WebDAV address. So I could use this WebDAV address, and basically you would change the IP number to whatever your front-facing, your World Wide Web facing IP address is currently set to. The other thing that I like about using OwnCloud is that it's easy to be able to set up users. It's also easy to be able to set up shares. So you can see that I'm sharing a few folders with people that are actually a part of my OwnCloud. And it's really easy just to take a folder, select it, select their name, and say, hey, share it with them, like this music folder. I can click on the share, and I can say, oh, who do I want to share it with? Well, I want to share it with, my mom. So I click that, and now she has sharing access. She can share, she can edit, or I can set this to where she can create but not delete. She can change, or I can just set it to the fact that she can't edit at all, or she could just create it. and I can have a link made from this. So I can give her a link, and this link would actually do it. I can password protect it, and I can set an expiration date for it. Those are things that OwnCloud gives you that I believe are way more useful than just setting up like a share and doing it that way. Because like I've shown you, the share is not going to work. If you do it just as a share, it's not going to work at all. So you can see through the whole time of our video that I've been talking that my OwnCloud was actually syncing up folders with stuff that I had on my server. Now I can deselect these at any given time. I can say, you know what, I no longer want to sync that to the server. I no longer want to sync ebooks to the server. I don't want to do instant upload synced. Maybe miscellaneous is not synced. Maybe music's not synced. I do want to keep my photos synced. Keep videos and things like that synced up. Working files, yeah, let's keep them synced. Bears, keep that stuff synced up. And then I can hit apply. And what will happen is it will look for changes and things that are not going to be synced anymore. It'll get rid of those syncing folders on the local computer and just keep the stuff in the cloud that's there. Now, I really enjoy that. Now, I also use OwnCloud on my mobile device, on my Samsung S7. So I also have OwnCloud installed on that. And what I really like about that is that when I take pictures, whenever I take a picture, because I have OwnCloud installed, it will automatically upload to my OwnCloud server. So kind of the same thing that happened when Samsung was partnered with Dropbox. You know, you take a picture and it would automatically upload to Dropbox. Same thing with Google. You know, it's an Android phone, so you can of course set it up with Google Drive and make things upload to there. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those services. I really do like Google Drive. I have a OneDrive account. I have a Google Drive account. I don't have a Dropbox account anymore. I let that go. It was too many things to juggle. But because I'm a Windows user, I do have a OneDrive account, and because I'm an Android user, I do have my Google Drive account. But I like having my OwnCloud account and my OwnCloud server because this stuff is the stuff that basically I'm controlling everything in this. I know it makes me kind of like a megalomaniac, right? Because I'm controlling all these little pieces of everything. But I like the fact that I get control of it, and I also like the fact that I can actually extend it and add applications to it. And maybe I'll do another video about some of the apps and stuff that I currently have installed on my OwnCloud. And you can see right here, I can go here and say apps, and when I do that, I can see what apps that are actually running, and still have the ability to be able to add more apps. So I really like the way OwnCloud works and how I can access things and get to my stuff very quickly from anywhere, and I haven't had a problem with it or hiccup with it. I'm still waiting to get another one of the drives for my FreeNAS server. When I'm done, this FreeNAS box will have right at about 13 to 14 terabytes of space over 3 pools. So I've got two 5.4 terabyte pools and then one 3.2 terabyte pool, which is actually the original pool. I decided I was going to break those 1 gigabyte drives up and use them in other projects, but I was like, you know what, they were already in the FreeNAS server, might as well leave them in there, so I'm going to leave those in there as well. So I'll have 3 pools inside of my FreeNAS box. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about right before getting away with this is just make sure that you are thinking about where you want to save your OwnCloud when you first set it up. As you can see, because my jails were set up on the PHX render pool, that the OwnCloud jail is sitting right there. So this is my OwnCloud jail, and you can see that it's currently using 29 gigs out of 286 gigs. So there's no storage attached to this jail. So if I go here and look at my jails, if I go look at my jails and go look at storage, so there's my OwnCloud, there's my OwnCloud jail. If I go look at storage, I don't have a storage set up for my OwnCloud, because what's happening is that the jail itself will just keep expanding and using the share, well, not even the share, but the actual volume that was set for it. So as you can see, if I came in here and I created a brand new volume, or a data set rather, so if I created it, so this data set for OwnCloud is where the data is being held at. So I did not need to set up a quote unquote a storage for it, since it already has that. The only reason why my Plex server has storage set up for it is because I already have the files of the videos on this pool right here, and what I'm doing is I'm basically faking a semblance link from this movies and this shows pool, or this movie and show data set, and giving the Plex server access to those data sets. So that's why I have basically storage set up for the Plex and not for the OwnCloud. So I hope that answers the question. Your best bet is to actually go and download the application from OwnCloud, use their syncing software. If you do that, you can see activity, you can set general. If I'm looking here for general, you can see this will launch at start, gives me a crash reporter, and then I can edit, ignored files. I can do all these things, but this keeps me up to date and synced, and I can add new users if I want to. Like if I want to add, my mom or whatever, I can just put the server address in there, which for me locally is going to be that 10.3. And when I hit that, you'll see that it's saying, well, you have an untrusted certificate. Yeah, I already know that, so I'm going to trust that certificate anyway. And then you can put the person that you're going to log in as, and then log in, and then you'll have access to be able to log into that OwnCloud. So that's the best way to be able to work with OwnCloud locally. And what that also gives you is, when I go here and I'm looking at my folder, on the computer, I have this OwnCloud folder. So whenever I save things into this folder, they will automatically get uploaded to my server, and I'll even show you. So let's go to the desktop really quick. I'm just going to grab this image and drop it into my OwnCloud right here. And you'll see when I drop it in there, look, the OwnCloud jumps alive and looks, and it synchronizes. And if I go back and go to my OwnCloud right now, then I can see there's that image in there. But if I actually go to the OwnCloud logged in this way and hit refresh, you can see, look, my image got updated and it's sitting there, and yeah, there it is. Now this is actually for something else. I'm actually doing a video on how to model this speaker from Harman Kardon for my channel as well. So anyway, the best thing to do is use the OwnCloud app. Don't try to make a share file or a share folder. It's only you'll be able to put it in the folder, but it won't show up in your database, and it'll not be a part of the OwnCloud database because it was not properly added. Now, alternatively, if you don't want to install the OwnCloud software on your desktop, you can just log in on the internet the same way you would log in anywhere else. You can log into your OwnCloud, and being logged into this interface, this lets you have drag and drop capabilities right in here. So I can drag files over this. So if I came down here and drag this file on here, you'll see it automatically has the ability to upload drag on files. So you can drag files onto your browser window and basically upload them. It works the exact same way as like OneDrive. I swear, I think OneDrive might have just stole their technology and then made it for themselves, or maybe vice versa. Maybe it's like a guy that used to work at Microsoft and went off very rogue. And anyway, that's a whole nother dark matter. So if you liked the video and it was very helpful to you, then maybe subscribe. And that helps us out here on the channel as the channel continues to grow. And I just want to thank the people that have grown the channel in the last couple of weeks. I've seen a base grow almost of 30 people, and I know for a lot of people they're going to be like, oh, well, that's not that many people. You got like 120 something people subscribed. For me, that's awesome. And I look at other YouTubers and look at their channels, and they have hundreds of thousands of viewers and everything else, and that's great for them. And do I want to get to that point at some point too? Yes, I would love to get to that many subscribers. But I cherish my 121 subscribers that I already have, because it's for you men and women out there is why I do this, realistically. The little bit of money I generate from YouTube is great, but it's not like it's enough to pay my bills. This is a labor of love. I like teaching and I like being able to give back to everybody, so that's where this comes from. And like I said, hopefully if you like the video, then subscribe, and if you want to leave a comment down in the comment section, as you can see I do check my comments, leave a comment and maybe I'll make a custom made video just for you next time. Until next time, my digital mutants, Dr. Media out.